So with their MBA degrees, number one, Purdue is down 40%, UC Irvine is down 38%, John Hopkins, all MBAs, down 50%. And by the way, the number of universities giving scholarship to the MBA students used to be 32% 10 years ago. Today it's 47%. Why? They know disruption's around the corner, and here's what I think is going to happen. You know who's going to become universities? Companies and corporations. They're going to start offering MBAs at their companies, but you'll go to the company, say you got your 4-year degree, you get a job at a company. The professors are going to be executives. They're teaching you about how to run a business, case studies of what happened to the company. So not only are you becoming more loyal to the company because they're offering you an MBA, you're going through a bunch of real case studies by people actually run businesses, not professors and teachers that sit there academia and telling you what to do. Those days are behind us. Massive disruption, I believe, is around the corner, and many universities, big names, are frightened, but not corporations. They'll adjust, they'll pivot. Either way, the future looks bright for those who pivot, and those who don't will be left behind.
Okay, so my last video about my hot take on MBAs in this market did a number on you guys, so here's part 2. Equally spicy, a little long, but you know how I roll. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, so here's my take on rebranding the MBA. I've placed executives at some of the world's most influential companies, and I cannot remember the last time a client asked me to find them a CEO, COO, or C-suite leader with an MBA. Let that sink in. I've spent years as an executive search consultant at Korn Ferry, Heidrick & Struggles, and now ZRG Partners, and I work at the intersection of talent and transformation every single day. I also hold a master's degree from London School of Economics, so I'm not coming here to bash higher education. I deeply respect it, but something seismic is happening in the market and nobody is saying it out loud. So here's the data bomb. Here's what the numbers are telling us. In 2019, 92% of corporate recruiters planned to hire MBAs. By 2024, that number had dropped to 71%. That's a 21-point collapse in 5 years. Bloomberg recently reported that every single M7 school, that's Harvard, Wharton, Stanford, MIT, Sloan, Columbia, Booth, Kellogg, job placement outcomes have declined since 2021. And some of the top programs are reporting employment rates as low as 77% within 3 months of graduation. These are the best business schools in the world. At the same time, MIT Sloan just got ranked the #1 MBA program in the world by Financial Times. So the prestige is rising, but the market signal is going in the opposite direction. That tension should be making everyone very uncomfortable. And here's what I live every day in exec search. When a board or CEO calls me to find their next senior leader, they're not asking for an MBA. They're asking for proven operators. They're asking for someone who has led through disruption, who's built something from nothing, who's navigated complexity at scale. Full stop. The degree is not the differentiator anymore. The track record is.
There's this concept of perceived legitimacy. And I think this is what these universities are still running on. Some of them rightfully so, right? But many times it's all smoke and mirrors and fumes. It's branding, right? So why should, you know, why does somebody say, if someone says, oh, you know, I work in this legal
branding, marketing, come on, let's go.
office and I make 80 grand. People look at that one way, and a plumber who's making 120 grand, you look at it a different way, or an electrician or a mechanic or something, right? It's this concept of like perceived legitimacy or clout or sort of prestige.
And that's, I think that is the thing that keeps us from going into higher levels, because we always look for that perceived legitimacy. There's a lot of people that don't do shit that got degrees, and they'll tell you in a heartbeat, I got my degree from Yale. I got my bachelor's degree from Princeton. But they broke. And I want you to understand this. They're as broke as you, probably even broker, because they got debt that's stacked on top of that, because they kept doing this thing, and you know what I'm talking about. Some of y'all got favorite friends that are like that, to beef themselves up and to give them clout in the eyes of everybody else. Oh, I completed this program. What good? That's like reading a book and never applying what you read. You just said, oh, I read the book. Reading the book doesn't give you any clout. What you got from the book, now, that's when the game changes. That's when the game changes. But we've been taught that if you go to a Princeton and you go to a Yale, you inherit now the network of Princeton and Yale. And so I'm not coming against those networks and saying that they're not great things. They're great. But let's be honest, okay? How many people are going to go to Princeton and assimilate into the network, and that network end up meaning $200,000-$300,000 a month jobs for them? Whew. Not everybody. So what does that mean for the people that don't go to the Princeton and the Yale? Bro, you're never buying a degree. You're really buying the name of the institution.
But a lot of it is just branding and marketing that's kind of been put in people's heads for decades that causes them to kind of turn their nose up at certain things or frown on certain things and look at other things as in like, oh wow, this is amazing. And I think that as we've all alluded to, people are waking up to that. And I think this is going to be a generational shift. I think far more younger people say under 40, certainly under 30, are looking at the numbers and are looking at, by now we've had a decade of people coming out of college in multiple countries who can't get a decent job, right? And people are looking at that and waking up to it and experiencing it themselves and are like, okay, I did this thing. Even if someone's there with $100,000 debt and you're 27 years old and you're now thinking, honestly, if I'm honest with myself, that wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth me going into all that debt to get my degree in history or fine art. They'll make a different choice when they have children, right? They're gonna.
Ooh, yeah. I told my daughter the same thing. I said, it's got to be a technical degree, because a lot of the certs that are out there will give you the working knowledge. That'll go right to the point, give you the working knowledge you need to actually do the job. And from there, you can tack on top of it a 2-year, 4-year degree, or even a master's. But isn't it something that some of these jobs will actually pay for you to get your master's or pay for you to get your bachelor's, as long as you can make the cut in coming on board and display some type of understanding on what needs to be done in that position. And you have some certification that actually says, hey, you completed this, and you have an understanding, like you can talk the language. That's the biggest part. Because when you speak the language and you exhibit grit and you show up and you do what you got to do, you're going to naturally learn more. And there are Fortune 500 companies out there that will pay for you to go to school and get that. I would rather them pay for it than my parents or me for my kids flip the bill. I just feel like that's so much smarter. Man.
Look at that situation and be like, okay, my parents did this because they thought it was the best for me. Maybe they encouraged and pushed me to go to college because that's what they did and it worked out well for them. But look, the world has changed. The game has changed. There's new technology. There's new options. We don't need to kind of keep going down the same thing, because ultimately, when you think about what's really the purpose of education, and I think people get this twisted, right? People confuse. I've said before that education is cheap or free, but college is expensive. People conflate college and education. They're not the same thing. You can be highly, highly educated, very, very knowledgeable, and not have a university degree. You can have a university degree and be very ignorant and naive and not very intelligent.
Yeah, I don't know how many people go to college because they want to get smarter. No, it's a return on your investment to have a career and a job where you can make money. That's it.
Yeah, but it's not even.
Some of your kids just going to school because they want to experience college. They want to have that college experience. And they don't realize, man, there's a cost to just having that college experience right now. And to me, it's not worth it. It's not worth the exchange.
Then it's not even really that practically, right? For so many companies, again, the legacy companies, the college degree is just a filter. It's a filter. And I think
a lot of those big companies, especially the big tech companies, are no longer demanding that you have a college degree.
This is what I'm talking about. Yeah. So they're waking up and going, okay, actually, what do we want to know that you can do the job and do the job well. Maybe 20 years ago, a degree was a very good sign of that. Now, for whatever reason, it's not. We want to know, have you got the skills? Yeah. And so I think that there's a disruption that's happening. I think we're in the early phases of it. We've seen it in all of these other sectors just over the last few decades. And I think that the same is going to happen with education. And I think once that perceived legitimacy switches from just being, oh, you have to go to this college or that college, and it just becomes, oh, okay, there's these other options and there's these other ways, and we respect that, and that's valid and that's legitimate, and we don't frown upon that. Then I think the whole game is going to change.
I think it's already happened.
And I think it'll also cause the colleges to have to respond and react to that, because if they want to keep attracting and getting students, they're going to need to step up their game.